Hello, my name is Russell Myers, and I'm U.S. President for 2024. So, question. Is Iran a threat to us? Is Iran a threat in general? And the short answer to this is no. Iran is not a threat to us at all. First of all, are they? Let's start with all of the stuff being put out there by Kamala Harris. And is Iran a nuclear threat? Well, according to her, they are. But how about other officials? According to the International Atomic Energy Agency and the United States Office of the Director of National Intelligence, who has inspectors in Iran inspecting Iran's nuclear facilities, Iran does not possess, nor are they trying to develop nuclear weapons. So, no, they are not a nuclear threat. The only thing that they use nuclear technology for is for energy. So, throw that out the window. No, they're not a threat in the nuclear realm. Are they a threat to the United States? Well, okay. Iran does not have ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, that would reach the United States. So no, they don't have a navy that could attack us. They don't have aircraft that could reach us. So no, they're not a military threat to us. Are they a threat to Israel? Now I'm going to come back to whether they're a threat to us militarily. All right, are they a threat to Israel? Not unless Israel attacks Iran again, and I say again. The Iranian missile attack on Israel was a response. This was a response to Israel killing an Iranian official and and also a Gazan official and a Lebanese official. And these two people that got killed were allies of Iran, and they were also the greatest chance for peace arrangements between Israel, Gaza, and Lebanon. These were the people that were engaged in peace negotiations. Now, one of these people was killed on sovereign Iranian territory. So, Iran was directly attacked, and an Iranian official was also killed in Syria. So this was all a response, and Iran stated so. So Israel fired the first shot regarding Iran. There's a long history there, but let's face it, Iran has not invaded another country since 1798 anyway. But why do we hate Iran so much? Because they're our enemy. Why are they our enemy? Because they held hostages, American hostages, during the Iranian Revolution, which happened in 1979. I was 17 years old. This is 45 years ago. I was 17. Most of you, many of you were not even born yet, or you were toddlers when this occurred. All right. And they were, the Iran, what was the purpose of the Iranian Revolution? To overthrow the U.S.-backed regime, the brutal U.S.-backed regime that was in power in Iran at the time. It was a revolution. And the hostages were negotiated for and released. And if you want to know more about why the Iranian Revolution occurred, then you should really look it up from objective sources. But I know most Americans are not going to do this. You're told that they're an enemy, so you believe it. The government says they're our enemy, and even though you won't believe anything the government says, you're still going to believe it whenever they say we have to respond militarily or whatever. All right, so at this time, the U.S. administration has placed American troops in Israel to operate an air defense system, a THAAD air defense system. So this is where, they might be a threat to Americans. Well, that's because we put Americans in harm's way. What? Yeah, if you, I'm not going to go into that. So, yeah, that air defense system becomes a legitimate target. It takes 95 people to operate that system. So, yeah, so those U.S. service members to operate that system become a legitimate target with the actual weapon system itself. So yeah, that becomes a threat. So yeah, if Israel attacks Iran and Iran responds, then yes, then Iran becomes a threat to U.S. service members because we put U.S. service members in harm's way. All right, so, so Iran is a threat to Israel. That's Israel. That is Israel. That's not the United States. Iran is a threat to Israel. Yemen is a threat to Israel. Iraq is a threat to Israel. Lebanon is a threat to Israel. Palestine is a threat to Israel. Gaza is a threat to Israel. Afghanistan is a threat to Israel. Every country in the Middle East is a threat to Israel. If all of your neighbors were a threat to you, wouldn't you start wondering or asking why this is? Wouldn't you make some kind of effort to lessen that threat instead of antagonizing them? And if they feel that you are a threat to them, then yes, they are a threat to you. Israel is actively conducting genocide in Gaza. They're attempting a genocide in southern Lebanon. They attack Syria on a pretty regular basis. Who's the bad guy here? The U.S. administration has tried to tell Israel verbally to engage in peace talks and stop the genocide in Gaza, but then continue to send weapons to Israel so that they can continue that genocide. It is U.S. weapons that are being used to attack Gaza and Lebanon right now. If Israel attacks Iran, it will be most likely utilizing U.S. weapons. All right, so here are some valid threats to you that you should understand. The United States has now imposed sanctions against numerous Iranian oil carriers. Well, that's not a direct impact on us, but it has indirect impacts. Iran's largest oil customer is China. Now, it doesn't account for very much, about 4% of China's oil imports. Not much of China's energy is derived from oil. Most of it is derived from coal, which they mostly get from Australia, who is also adversarial to China and is Australia's biggest, and China's Australia's biggest trading partner. So it makes sense of that. All right. So, and by the way, China is also the United States' biggest trading partner as well. So, most of the oil imported into China goes into a production, and industry, manufacturing, making plastics, fertilizers, raw chemicals, etc., car parts, things like that, that are exported very largely. Yeah, but a lot of that comes to the United States. So we impact their cost of production, and things get imported over here. And guess what happens? The price of those goods in the United States goes up. It could impact the cost of doing production in the United States. In addition to higher prices, it may wind up with demand being destroyed because nobody can afford to buy anything, and that means you could be laid off if you work in a production job that has anything to do with this, and any of the corollary, accounting, trade, stocks, everything that will be impacted by such things. So there's a threat to you. All right. So, and that's on top of any tariffs that already exist or any future tariffs and sanctions that may be imposed on China. But let's stick to Iran right now. All right. Would Trump be a better choice? Well, all we have to do is take a look at the history of Trump's prior actions regarding Iran. He negated the nuclear deal that was reached and claimed that Iran was, trying to develop nuclear weapons, and I already covered that. That's not true. That's according to the IAEA and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Trump very much sides with Israel against the entire Middle East. So do we want this to develop into a hot war? Well, what would happen if that occurred? Iran can militarily control the Strait of Hormuz. They could block all oil being shipped out of the numerous Middle Eastern countries and Saudi Arabia, which accounts for about 40% of the the global oil supply, something like that. Other ways that this becomes a threat: Iran and the Middle East provide a lot of energy to Europe. Well, you stop any of that, including just the Iranian oil, and prices go up in Europe. Well, their energy prices are already about 4 times that in the United States. So, because of U.S. sanctions, led sanctions, and so forth. All right, so now you impact the European economy even further, which means, well, now you have decreased demand in Europe for American goods. They can't afford to buy American goods. And that means, guess what? You lower production in the United States. You wind up with layoffs and manufacturing plants, possibly entire industries shutting down in the United States because they cannot, one, cannot afford to produce anything. Number two, because they don't have any customers. We wipe out the ability of our own customers to buy U.S. goods. If the Strait of Hormuz gets blocked, oh, well, we produce our own oil. That's not going to affect us. Yes, it will. Again, you shut down trade. And what's going to happen to Europe? Oh, they're our allies, right? Oh, but we want them to wind up with basically no energy at all. None of this makes any sense. None of this will make any sense. Don't even try to make sense of it. Stop letting these politicians get you on some, rage-filled cheering for turning the Middle East into a conflagration. If Israel and Iran wind up actually going to war against each other, Israel has no chance of winning. It doesn't matter how much assistance we send. We can send weapons. We can send our own troops into the region. Yes, we may have some victories, but Israel will be destroyed. It will be destroyed. It will cease to exist. And thousands, tens of thousands of American troops, American service members, American people will die in this process, because this will not just involve Iran and Israel. It will involve Gaza, Palestine, Lebanon, Iraq. Saudi Arabia is not on good terms with Israel. Iraq, Afghanistan has promised that they may send thousands, the Taliban may send thousands of troops into Lebanon, and they may have already done this. Yemen, you keep on and on and on. Syria, on and on and on. No, that is who Israel and the United States would be facing, and we have already exhausted our weapons and ammunition production capacity just sending it to Ukraine. So we don't have enough to fight a war in the Middle East with any chance of success. It will not happen. And if you cut off energy to Europe, and they're not going to be able to produce anything either. So that's it. Game over. Would this turn into World War III? No, I think it would remain a regional conflict. But the implications will be permanent. They will be permanent. Are you ready for that? I'm not. It's a lot better to sit down, cool off, stop all of this. Oh, strong America. Oh, yeah. No, sometimes it takes a lot more strength to be the peacemaker than the warrior. You can be both, but you got to know your role. Otherwise, you're nothing but a berserker. That's all. And that's what America has become, a berserker. Share this video. Talk about these subjects. Look at what's coming. If you can afford it, please donate whatever you can to help expand this campaign, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a good day.